Welcome to my video of me showing love to my golden Land Cruiser. I hope you'll enjoy it. So today with a different style of video, no DIY presentation, because I have done this job before I started this channel. So yeah, I would like to share with you my unfortunate experience of how the brake booster failed on me, leaving me stranded, and how I was able to replace it all by myself at home even. So yeah, let's get to it. So yeah, I was one of those unfortunate 100 series Land Cruiser owners who experienced a brake booster failure on the road. So just to describe the whole situation briefly, I was driving on the highway coming back from work at late time, and shortly after I was stuck in heavy traffic during rush hour when my Land Cruiser suddenly started screaming at me. The ABS light came on and a loud siren went on. Now at that moment my mindset shifted to survival mode, because the last thing I wanted is to pull over in this heavy traffic. So I continue on driving while trying to figure out what exactly went wrong with my ABS system. I was hoping maybe it's a wheel speed sensor that failed or something. But I also noticed that the car was really quiet. I no longer hear the brake booster pump operating. So I was driving 5 to 10 kilometers, drive and stop in the traffic, and maybe after 20 bumps of brakes, my brake pedal completely sinked onto the firewall. And it's a moment I still remember. So I immediately pulled over, shifted to neutral, and pulled on my handbrake or the emergency brake. So then I started to call tow trucks. Many of them refused to come to me considering my location. Some of them agreed, but they said they need 1 to 2 hours minimum to get to me. However, luckily for me, there was one tow truck that was stuck in the traffic with me, and he saw me from distance and he offered me a tow, and I accepted. Of course, he took advantage of my situation, overcharging me, but I didn't care, just to get myself and my car back to home to safety. So by the next weekend, when I got the chance to work on my Land Cruiser, I started with troubleshooting, and the first thing I checked is the brake booster pump relay, and it was clicking on and off, which means there's nothing wrong with it. But that damned brake booster pump still not operating. So what I did next is I brought myself a big and heavy wrench, and I started to hammer on the pump, and voila, it started to operating, but only for a few seconds, and then it died again. So that's how I was able to confirm what went wrong with my brake booster, because the last thing you want is to replace this ultra expensive brake booster assembly just by guess. So next I will share a short video I took when I was doing my troubleshooting at home from my brake booster, to show you how your Land Cruiser will warn you when there is a serious problem with your ABS or brake booster, urging you to pull over immediately. I think it will be very helpful for many of you guys. So after pointing out the issue with my brake booster, it was time for me to make the hard decision of how to resolve it, because replacing these units with a brand new one, it's a big hit to your wallet. These units are insanely expensive. Aftermarket was no option for me, and I don't want to talk about it. Used, I've been to scrap yards many times, and I've seen these units on the floor, hundreds of them, and nobody wants them. And why take a guess and a risk when it comes to such a critical component of your car? So brand new OEM was my way to go. Now from Toyota, you can just get the pump itself, which is the price for it is around 1/3 of the entire assembly. But the problem with going with that route, in my opinion, is that if you put a brand new part on an assembly that is 20 years old, there are a lot of internal seals in this brake booster master cylinder assembly that you cannot replace. So I'm sure sooner or later you will start having leaks and other issues, and you'll go back to having nothing. So for that reason, and for the fact that I do not want to re-experience what I experienced when that brake booster failed me on the road, leaving me stranded far away from home, I bit the bullet and I got myself a brand new OEM brake booster assembly for around $1,600, believe it or not. So here's my old brake booster. I bought it from the store to show you guys, and that's the part number for the new brake booster assembly. My Land Cruiser is not equipped with the VSC system, so that's the part number for me. but for you, do double check with your part supplier. So just you guys have an idea what you're dealing with, I'll try to explain whatever I know about this crazy unit. So that's the piston, that's the gasket that sits between the brake booster and the firewall. If you decide to go with replacing your entire unit, try to get a new one. What else we have here? Oh, notice how long these threads are. I will talk about them later once I describe to you how I replace my brake booster. This is the reservoir that stores the brake fluid. That's the module. Out of curiosity, I did remove this cover and looked inside, and it was crystal clean. However, this reservoir also can leak here between that's the cylinder, between the cylinder and the reservoir, because there is seals here in between. And here we have the accumulator that stores the brake pressure, and here's that damned pump that failed on me. Also, out of curiosity, I did crack this pump open and I looked inside to understand what exactly went wrong with it. And what I found out is tons of carbon. Also, there is a copper film that creates the electromagnet field that turns this pump at some area was worn down to the middle. That's why this pump stopped working. And if you guys are interested about what I saw inside this pump, I did create a quick short and you can find it in the channel. I will put the link to it in the description of this video. So here's my almost 1 year old brake booster. Now I will go quickly through the steps that I took and how I was able to replace it. So first thing first, disconnect your battery, at least disconnect the negative terminal. Next, you will come inside the car and press the brake pedal at least 40 times. Although you will not need to do it 40 times because your brake booster pump already failed and you don't really have much pressure in the system. But do this step because it's very important for your safety. Next, you want to create some working room, so this canister must come off. It's easy to remove, just remove this hose, and then just pull the canister up to take it out from the car. You don't need to remove the mount and the mounting bolts. Next, you will disconnect all the electric connections. My brake booster have 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just be careful when you do this. Do it gently because typically these connectors are brittle and they can easily break. Next, you will disconnect the brake lines. Again, my Land Cruiser is not equipped with the VSC system, so I only have 3 lines. Here's 2 and there's one on the side. If you have a VSC system equipped with your Land Cruiser, you have an extra line here. So to disconnect these brake lines, make sure to use a flare wrench like this one, not a regular wrench, because the last thing you want is to strip these nuts on the brake lines, and these nuts are 10mm. So next, you want to unclip the brake lines from its mounting lines, because when you try to remove the brake booster, these brake lines will fight you and they will try to hook you all the time. Because as you saw, as I showed you in my old brake booster, how long the threads are, you really need to push the brake booster like at least halfway forward. So to create the flexibility I needed to replace my brake booster, I unclipped it from here and here, and also down there there's a bracket. Not this one, this is not this one, this is for the fuel lines. There's a one behind, there's a bolt. Try to take it off. So next, inside the car again, you will unclip this clip so you can remove the pin that connects the piston to the brake pedal assembly right there. So next, you will need to remove these nuts. There are 4 of them, 12mm. These nuts hold the brake booster into the car firewall. So it's a bit of a struggle to get to them, but I was able to do it without removing anything extra. So after you remove the 4 nuts that hold the brake booster in the car, this brake booster will be free to be removed off the car. It will be a bit of a fight, I'm warning you, because this unit is heavier than it looks. Also, these brake lines will fight you and hook you all the time, so if you have someone to help you, at least he can try to push away these lines while you try to pull or take off the brake booster off the car. Care for your back and be prepared for it. So once you remove the brake booster off the car successfully, take note of the gasket orientation. if you wish to replace it. So now you're ready to put the new brake booster in place. So the first thing you want to do is to prepare your new brake booster. If you want to replace the gasket, make sure to put the new gasket back on the new brake booster as the same orientation as the old gasket. And then it's just the reverse order. Take your brake booster, make sure to have rested arms. Take your brake booster and just feed it here and align the 4 threads into the 4 holes in the firewall. Try to do this with one trial because better not to rest the brake booster and like put it on the brake lines to rest your arms because you could damage them. Then you will come inside the car and tighten the 4 nuts again that hold the brake booster into the firewall. There's torque specs for these and it's 11 foot-pound, but there's no way you can put a torque wrench here, so go by feel and make sure they're tight. So one note I forgot to mention is that when you put your brake booster back on the car, make sure before you put it to turn it or turn the piston clevis and this horizontally like this, so it aligns with the brake pedal. Then bring your pin, align the brake pedal hole with the pin and slide the pin inside, and then secure it by replacing the clip on the other side. Then replace your brake lines back on the mounts here and here and down there if you remove that bolt. So then it will be time to reconnect your brake lines back on the new brake booster. Now that's a step you want to be very cautious about, because since you remove the brake lines and push them aside here and there, trying to work out the brake booster in and out, you will disturb their form a little. It's okay as long as you don't kink them or bend them. So what you wanted to do is to take the brake lines, try to push them inside their holes as much as possible, and start threading the nuts only by hand. If you feel cross threading, stop immediately, and I repeat, stop immediately and try again. And for tightening, the last tightening, use your flare wrench, go by feel and be reasonable about it. So if you made it this far successfully, then good job. Next you will reconnect your electric connections for the brake booster, replace your canister, put the hoses back onto the canister, and then reconnect your negative battery terminal. Then take a quick look around this area, make sure you didn't disturb anything, and to time to refill your reservoir, make sure to fill it to the maximum line and be prepared for brake bleeding next. So before you start the brake bleeding procedures, there's an important step you need to do. So you'll bring your car key, turn the ignition to the on position only, don't start the car, and listen to the brake booster operation and time it. Listen how long it will take for it to build the pressure for the system and then shuts off. If it lies between 30 to 40 seconds, then you're good to go. So if the pump took longer than 40 seconds to build pressure for the system and then shut off, then you will have to try again. So remove your key from the ignition, depress the pedal 40 times, relieving all the pressure from the system, and then repeat the same steps. So in my case, I was able to achieve that 30 to 40 seconds pump operation time on the second trial. So if you fail on the first trial, don't be nervous that you messed something up. It's okay. That's because the system still has air in it. So once you achieve that pump operation time, what you need to do next, according to the manual, is to keep the key on the on position and depress the pedal again 20 times. It claims that this step resets the modules for the ABS, so do it. So now you'll be ready for the brake bleeding procedures. I'm not going to talk about how to do it in details, because it should be a basic knowledge, especially if you attempt such a huge job. But for those who want to learn, you can ask me in the comments and I will try to describe step by step on how to do it as best as I can. So you will manually bleed all 4 calipers on each side. And on the Land Cruiser, at least for the 100 series Land Cruiser, the sequence is unique. My car is, for example, is left-handed, so I will start from the front right, and then front left, and then the rear right, and then lastly the rear left. Make sure while you bleed all calipers to keep the reservoir level at least above the minimum line. So after you bleed all 4 calipers, then according to the manual and everything I read online, even if you bleed all 4 calipers manually, you will still have air trapped in the ABS especially, And to remove that air, you will need to take the car to the dealer or to a workshop that have Toyota equipment that can access the ABS on these old Land Cruisers. So in my case, so what I did exactly is it was my plan to do the initial bleed for the 4 calibers at home, and then start the car, make sure I have some braking power, and drive it to the nearest workshop. At least a workshop I know they have the equipment for these old Land Cruisers, and do the bleeding again for me. So we remove all the air from the system. And I did that, but when I took the car to the workshop, I kind of talked with one of the good mechanics who work there, and he told me that he can do this. He can access the ABS module and activate it and bleed the air, but it will not do much, like more than what a manual bleed would do. So I decided not to give them the car and let them bleed the brakes again for me. In any case, I wouldn't trust them to do it right and waste my money, so I didn't want to stop there. So what I did next is I took my car to a gravel road and activated the ABS 10 to 20 times by myself. It's easy to activate the ABS actually, but it takes some courage because you need to drive at least 60 kilometers and brake very hard suddenly, and you will hear the ABS activating. It have a unique sound. And after that, I brought the car home again and I bled all 4 calipers again. And after that, I did feel the improvement in the brake pedal feel. It was even firmer than it was after the initial brake bleed. I'm not saying you should follow my lead and do what I did, because after all, this is concern your safety. But again, my Land Cruiser is 2003 and I don't have the VSC system, so my ABS system is pretty basic. And yeah, I've been driving the car since I've changed the brake booster. It's almost a year past now, and I have no problem braking at all. So once you're comfortable with everything you did and you bled the all the brake lines successfully, the last thing you want to do is to reset the level in the reservoir. So what you want to do is go inside the car again, depress the pedal at least 40 times, relieve all the pressure, and then refill your brake fluid reservoir to the max line. And then start your car and come check the brake fluid level and the reservoir. It should lie between the maximum and minimum line, like mine at the moment. And yeah, you go check, go drive your brakes, and then come back home, make sure here you don't have any leaks on the brake lines. And by the way, this brake fluid is 1 year old and already changed color. To tell you that how often you need to change the brake fluid in your reservoir, keep everything healthy. So at the end of this video, I just want to say such job and working on the brakes can be very dangerous. So unless you have a background on working on your car, or at least you know how to bleed the brakes, do not attempt this job at all. Take it to a mechanic you trust or to the dealer. But at the same time, don't be intimidated to attempt it if you think you have what it takes, because if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm no mechanic by any means. Also, if you have a high mileage Land Cruiser equipped with this crazy brake booster assembly and you never touched it, be prepared for it when it fails, because trust me, at least this bump is a wear item. Also, make sure to maintain your e-brake. It's called emergency brake for a reason. And yeah, there's a lot to say, but I'll end it there. So thanks for watching. Keep your Land Cruisers happy and don't forget to cherish yourself. Bye.